Father, please forgive me, for I know not what I do. So I'm back down on my knees, please my case to you. I've been caught up in this world when you place me in. Living in hell, the only way I know to sin. I tried church, but got blindsided by the turn. And just the other day, I caught my pastor copping work. Lord, please, show me a sign. I'm losing my way, but I'm out of time. I thought I found the perfect match, but she wasn't for me. Ever since I lost my wife, relationships are falling. I'm losing my mind, there clearly ain't no turning back. My only counteract is Keisha and the Palisade. My life is nowhere near nice, and I know if I don't get it right, I'm bound to die. Let's say you read death after.
Now, what makes this so exciting to me about this whole thing is, in my lifetime, I've had the opportunity to know a lot of people that have been involved in the incarceration system. Tons of them, okay? But now I've also had the privilege to know everybody as part of the community. Tons of them. And man, I've had even more of a privilege in most cases to know everybody's parents, their cousins, their sisters, their brothers, tons of them. So it occurred to me that we're working on doing a good job for the individual as they try and re-enter into society, which is a wonderful step in the right direction. However, after doing and dealing with this with folks on both sides of the fence, shall we say, it's been obvious to me that it's taking more than just an individual having a lot of desire to do the right thing, okay? These days, what I come to understand that whatever time that you serve, when you're released, you come back to the zip code that you was at, correct?
Correct.
So now, Hilltop is the zip code for a lot of people, right? Now, as everybody knows that's been around here outside and looking at the changes, a tremendous amount has changed over the last 5 years. A tremendous amount has changed in terms of housing, the ability to stop at somebody's house and knock on the door and say, hey man, can I come in? You know, or the ability for family members that's in the area. None of that exists anymore. But people are still, this is your zip code. Okay? So now, what we're here to do today in a short period of time is reestablish a level of importance. Okay? We want to establish a level of importance for not only the individual who's coming back out into the community, we want to establish some importance for the families of the individuals who have been incarcerated. Okay? We want to establish a level of interest and urgency for the community that people have come from. You know, because look, I just want to say this to people, okay? As much as people are loving, yeah, we got 99 churches up here on Hilltop, so you know folks is fairly loving and forgiving and stuff like that. But folks, there's a lot, some of the stuff folks did, there's just a lot of forgiving that it takes. And without people making any type of effort to at least seek some forgiveness or restitution, it becomes difficult in these times, especially for a community to embrace certain people. So what we want to talk about is how can we make that connection stronger with the community and individuals, so you're not just coming out here by yourself, okay? That we do have the family and reestablish families, okay? And we're reestablishing a community connection because, like I said, everybody that I see here, I've seen before out on these streets around here, okay? So without further ado, let's get into this beautiful day.
Tired of being in these streets, damn, something's gotta change. God's got something for me, so until the day comes, I'll pray. Keep your head up, take it from me, all you gotta do is pray.
Okay, here we go. For many individuals, the journey through the criminal justice system doesn't end with release. In fact, it's just the beginning of a complex and often challenging path back to society. Pre-release and re-entry are critical phases where we have the opportunity to not only support the individual, but also to strengthen families and communities. By focusing on health and wellness, we can address the physical, mental, and social needs that are vital for successful reintegration.
Tired of being in these streets. Damn, something's gotta change. God's got something for me, so until the day comes, I'll pray. Keep your head up. Take it from me. All you gotta do.
Okay, the way that I see it, folks, this is a wraparound thing. It is not an individual process because we all have to be involved in reentry. Okay, we've all got to have a place for people to come back to that's nurturing. Okay, that if there isn't family, that we can create family, that we can help people to reestablish family. You know, some of them broken areas, and we have the ability to do that. Okay, we definitely have the ability to do that. I know because I've seen it. By discussing the challenges faced by individuals during pre-release and reentry, then move on to explore innovative practices that promote wellness. Lastly, we'll look at how we can all contribute to building healthier communities that support reintegration and reduce recidivism. Now, recidivism, I love that word. That's one of my favorite words. Why, you might say? Glad you asked. Okay. Now, recidivism to me is an interesting subject because let's just ask, how many people have been incarcerated one time? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've been incarcerated one time. Now, how many people have been incarcerated 2 times? Raise your hand if you've been incarcerated twice. Okay, how about 3? I know, just keep throwing it up there. You don't even have to bring it down. I understand. But you get my point. Recidivism. Now, I'm doing this for 3 decades, people, seeing the same people that I know growing up. Next time I see them, 24, coming out, going back in. So I've been exposed on a community level to recidivism, and it breaks my heart. It has broken my heart so many times to see people that I just embrace and I see for 2 months and they're back in jail, incarcerated, okay? And I believe that that's not necessary. I honestly believe that that's not necessary. And especially if we have the components of family and community already structured for this hilltop, because we go back as a community 50 years, 60 years. Some of the communities that have just sprung up over the last 20, 30 years, they're dealing with a lot of growth, they're dealing with a lot of people coming into the community, okay? And it's a difficult struggle right now with so many people being impacted by incarceration. But we've got a gift here if we want to take advantage of it, okay? So, let's talk about trauma real quick here. Now, I know everybody here has heard the word trauma, okay? But now, for the intents and purposes, since everybody knows somebody here that's been incarcerated, yes, you guessed it, this particular presentation has to deal with trauma as it deals with people who are incarcerated and have been incarcerated. This particular presentation deals with gang members and gang women's, if that's the right term, that have been incarcerated, okay? And some of the things that they've had to deal with for themselves personally, for their family, okay, and for their community. So when we talk about trauma, let's stay focused on that group today, okay? Just for today. Let's stay focused on gang members who have been incarcerated, okay? We're gonna talk about trauma. Okay, significantly impacts pre-release and reentry individuals by exacerbating mental health challenges such as PTSD and prolonged grief disorder. Has anybody here been diagnosed or feel like they have PTSD from the situation? Didn't even let me finish the sentence. But yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Now, trauma brings that on, okay? Anything that reminds us of situations, unresolved psychological wounds often lead to difficulties in maintaining stability, relationships, and overall well-being during the reentry process. Now,
you know, about 70% of people around the world will experience at least one traumatic event in their lifetime. Trauma is a threatening event or a series of events that is emotionally or physically harmful, which may include violence, abuse, neglect, natural disasters, or losing a loved one due to a trauma.
Did anybody hear anything that you hadn't already heard before about trauma? Anything new? Okay. Yes.
Tired of being in these streets. Damn, something's gotta change. God's got something for me, so until the day comes, I'll pray.
So they mentioned that sometimes PTSD symptoms can pop up for no reason at all, and not no reason, but just no external reason. I've experienced that myself. but it's not something that I think is talked about enough. Triggers are very real, and it's a real thing, but sometimes there's just things going on internally that no one can see, and so there's no explanation for what's happening.
Did everybody hear that? Did y'all get that little piece right there? Okay, so we all know the trauma affects us all differently. So speaking in terms of the relationship between trauma, gang activity, and incarceration. Okay, now let's focus on that type of trauma. Okay, now without even going into too much detail, I would like people to just go back in your minds and think of just a few traumatic situations that occurred while you was actively involved in gang activity. Just think about a few traumatic situations based on this definition here of what we already know about trauma. Okay, I want us to take a quick peek and think about a time in our childhood that was traumatic, okay? Just think about those things, and then we can start adding up what our trauma level really looks like. Okay, let's go to the next one. Condition number 2, PTSD. PTSD can severely affect pre-release and re-entry individuals by triggering intense anxiety, flashbacks, and emotional numbness, making it difficult for them to adjust to life outside incarceration. These symptoms often impede their ability to form healthy relationships, find stable employment, and fully reintegrate into society. Now, has anybody here that's been released experienced any issues in any of these areas? Raise your hand. Just any of them. Okay. So now we got the PTSD and we got the trauma. Okay, now look. I will tell you this, folks. I do not believe in labeling myself or other people. So somebody says, well, you got PTSD. Oh, you got a bipolar issue. Oh, you got this. Oh, you got that. Well, at a certain point, you got so many things you can't remember what your last name is. Okay? So to avoid this, I'm saying, let's look at the symptoms. Okay? There's no reason for everybody to run over here and start making doctor's appointments. I think I got PTSD, MSD, COVID-19. No, we don't need to go through all that. Because what we're talking about here is self-healing. Okay, we're going to get into some real self-healing, and we want to be our own best advocate when it comes to health and wellness and re-entry. Okay, so PTSD, let's take a quick peek. We're not going to watch the whole episode, but let's just take a little bit about this here on PTSD.
Back on the counteract, keep sharing the power side. My life nowhere near nice, and I know if I don't get it right, I'm bound to die. They say you reap death after you live your life a bitch. My mama's gone now, it's probably me.
Tired of being in these streets, damn, something's gotta change. God's got something for me, so until the day comes, I'll pray. Keep your head up, take it from me, all you gotta do is pray. Keep your